Well, hello everybody, my name is Brecton and welcome to another Walking Dead video on the channel. And today we're going to be doing What If Clementine and Lee Never Met, and this is going to be the most interesting what if I've ever done, so make sure you do stick around until the end so that you don't miss any of the epic goodness that is in this video. Before we get into today's video, only a small percentage of you are actually subscribed, so if you do go on to enjoy today's video and want to see more videos on Telltale's Walking Dead, make sure you smash the subscribe button so that you don't miss any of my weekly Walking Dead videos. We'll start off with how Lee and Clementine don't meet, and this is going to be right at the start of episode 1, where Clementine simply does not use the walkie-talkie to communicate with Lee. So this means that she stays in the treehouse and unfortunately would probably die by either starvation, dehydration, or simply a walker getting her. Very unfortunate, but that's how it goes. So yeah, we will get right into the rest of episode 1. The rest of episode 1 would play out mostly the same until Glenn goes to the motel. Glenn would not have a walkie-talkie to communicate with the group, so when he gets stuck, he would be sort of stuck there. But for simplicity's sake, we're just going to say that the events up until the walkers break into the drugstore play out and end the same way. The details are not really important. If you want me to do a detailed version, tell me in the comments below. So the walkers break into the drugstore as they do in the original game, but with Clementine not being there, Lee is not able to ask her to go get the cane, meaning that the walkers break in. And now to make things very interesting, both Carly and Doug would die as Lee would not have the chance to save either of them. So this means he'd run out with Carly and Doug both dying. Episode 2 would again play out mostly the same until the group were in the meat locker this time. Larry would still die, however there is nobody who can crawl through the vent to let the rest of the group out. So it is my firm belief that either Kenny or Lee would have to wait for Andy or Danny to come to the locker, or they would have to crawl out themselves, which I don't think would work, so I think the first option is probably the more likely, but both could happen. You know, it's a Telltale game, it's all about choices. So Catcher and Duck, I don't think the St. John's had any intentions of killing very soon, so I think they'd both be fine afterwards. The rest of the episode would again play out the same with the group taking the supplies from the station wagon. Then into episode 3, very simple. I don't think Clementine had too much of an impact on the overall story, so for simplicity's sake we'll have that play out the same as well. Now episode 4 is where things get really spicy. With Clementine not being there, Chuck does not have to save her, meaning he is not separated from the group, which means he survives. So they'd get to the mansion, Kenny and Lee would go down to the docks to look for a boat, and then Molly would still be there, but she would not help them as there is no reason for her to trust them, as for all she knows they could be a member of Crawford, and I don't think Chuck would come to the dock with them. I think he'd stay back and watch the house. Lee and Kenny would still escape the walkers, so we can actually get a nice ending to this instead of them just dying there and then everyone else being a bit scuffed. So in the shed there is the boat, and in the main game Clementine finds that. But I believe that somebody else would go and try and break in, you know, try to be a hero, try and be helpful, and they'd find the boat. And then Lee doesn't meet Vernon, so Kenny and Lee remember Crawford and what Molly said about them, and then they decide to go rooting around there themselves. It'd take a bit longer, but I do believe that they would eventually find the parts they need and get out, with Ben probably telling Kenny about the bandits, which doesn't really end well. And then this is where things get extremely exciting, and it's probably the happiest part to this. It's a very happy ending to this one if you exclude the dead Clementine. There's no threat to the boat because Vernon's not there. Lee doesn't get bit because Clementine doesn't run off / get kidnapped. So then they can just get on the boat and leave. However, there is a problem with this, and that is there's 5 spaces on the boat and there are 6 people here. Lee and Kenny are a given who are going to get on the boat. I think Chuck is also the same. I think Chuck's helpful. He'd get on the boat as well. Krista would not get on the boat without Omid, so that would leave Ben stranded. But I don't think that Chuck would allow Ben to stay stranded. So I think that Krista and Omid, Krista and Kenny don't really get on. I think that they would stay behind, and then Kenny depending on whether Ben allowed his outburst or not, I think there could be a very nice circumstance for that. Like maybe they're having the discussion and then Ben's like, hey, fuck you, Kenny. So yeah, I think that Ben would get on the boat. So it would be Lee, Kenny, Chuck and Ben. And then we'll have Krista and Omid who leave Savannah like they did when they met Clementine again after Lee died. So thank you for watching, everybody. This has been a very fun what if to make, actually. I did enjoy writing the story for this. So if you do want to see more Walking Dead theories and what ifs, make sure you tell me in the comments below. But if you want to stay up to date on the channel, click the Instagram below. I post there like once a week, but yeah, it's worth it. It's fun. However, my name's Brecton and I'm out. Super slap.